Hey, I'm back this evening here with Fly on the Wall, who is a what do you call it? A channel member, and obviously writes me very nice messages. So you're part of the public, and I'm having a hangout with you.
I'm loving it. How are we
Well,
all?
that's
How are
good
you,
then.
Karen?
That's really good.
Really good.
Anyway, it's good
What
to
would
chat to
you
you
like
because
to
it's
talk
not
about?
that often. You know, like a couple of weeks ago, you wouldn't have thought, "Hey, I'm going to be having a hangout with Karen," would you?
I know. I first heard you on BITCHUTE Channel years ago, and because you are someone who is so good, you put everyone together, you get people on, and it's like you are a good key, a middle woman, aren't you? Really,
Oh, Fly, thank you so much, my darling. I do like
you
getting
are, though,
people
aren't you?
together. You know, I find it quite good fun if, say, there was this person, then we have a hangout. I quite like all that. You know,
Yeah,
what we've got to do is to
I'm not a good
communicate,
front
isn't
man.
it? That's what we're left with, communication.
Yeah, that's it. Communication and things, information, things like that. I'm not a good front man, but yeah, being a good middle person as such.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say so, Fly. I'll give you the £20
Yeah.
later, okay? That's very sweet of you, Fly. Um, Yeah, and also I didn't think I'd be having a hangout with you. It's always good sometimes, you know, like slowly over the months I've got to have hangouts with a few more members of the people, you know, like or chat with members of people who come to the channel. It's quite good. It's good. I like it. Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Very
gone a
quiet
little
for a
bit like
while.
different at the moment. I've been doing me myself because obviously you're going to talk about what you're going to talk about in a minute. But I've been doing abandonment and things like that, and I've got quite into Dub J 315. Some of the pictures of the moon and that he gets and the planes are amazing. Like he actually did something with the filters just to change the colour of his moon pictures, and you can actually see the moon is completely sheared off. And then I took with my iPhone a few years ago. I was really shocked because I made a bit of a joke about it because it's the chocolate chip cookie. In front of the moon is a chocolate chip cookie. It looks like that when you change the
Yeah,
saturation colours.
I saw that one. Yeah.
And that is why
Do you
the moon
remember
is sheared off.
Jones C. Senodge? Do you know Jones backwards as well? And who's really big into the fuel hoax? Do you know him?
Probably. So you've done something
It's
with your phone
Jones and
again.
then Jones backwards.
You need.
He goes into the moon massively. Shows you, you know, like you can see all the stars behind the moon, the dark side of the moon as such, things like that. Really good.
Oh.
But yeah, you've been looking into all these abandoned places.
Yeah, I
there
have.
a lot.
And this moon stuff, which, you know, like I said, just finished this bit. The moon is sheared off, and that's because the chocolate chip cookie has to go in front. And I think that's one of the reasons it's sheared off. But he's just done some footage on the moon with these filters to show you that the front of the moon is all sheared off. Crazy or what? Just by changing the filters. So I'm putting a video together about that because I actually quite like, you know, when I realise some of the things he's seeing. I've seen this very quickly because we want you to talk, Fly. But there was this thing that went past my window, and I went to get my camera, but when I came back, it was getting dark, and I just thought, oh, no one will see it, and you know. But basically, it was like it looks a bit like a plane, except the wings aren't going straight sideways. One wing is at the top facing up, and one of the wings. But when you look at it, it looks a bit like an aeroplane, but it's not. Well, I've seen that thing fly past my house. And he's
Yeah,
picking
it's
up things like that.
like one of those, what do you call it, a star in the jar thing. It looked like one of those, didn't it?
Well, he's just really great at capturing the footage. But can I just say, have you done something with your phone again?
No, is it bad?
That's better. I don't know whether you put your hand over it a bit because it really affects it. Anyway, they're funny old things. That's better. Anyway, we've got this picture information up. And what would you like to talk about, Fly?
So much. I've been so quiet as well for the last year. I've not really had a good family. But yeah, family, friends, things. They're not exactly who you think they are. You know, they don't. At first, you know, when you quote unquote have an awakening, they just suddenly look at you like rabbit in the headlights type thing, and then you feel all alone, and you go through all this. Well, I did, you know, being thrown in a washing machine. It's like a test, isn't it, to see.
I know, my dad, right, I went to stay with my parents in August, and all my dad kept saying is, she's mad, she's lost it, she's completely lost it, she's mad, which doesn't sound that bad, but when your own parents talk to you like that, I find it really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
People I love, like, what am I supposed to do? Walk around going, they're mad, they're absolutely mad. How would they like it?
Yeah, because you do come out with it, because I do believe there are certain channels who put things out there to make you say stupid things. You know, like all the everyone in Hollywood as such is, you know. So my sister ended up phoning police on me. That kind of thing. It was very strange. But so yeah, you go through that, and then you know, fluoride was the first one that I got into. What was the first thing for you?
Sorry, say that again. You've gone a little bit faint again. Just a little bit. You're there, but you're just a tiny bit faint.
Sorry.
That's better.
Fluoride. When the first awakening thing for me was when my mum and dad had strokes. I looked into health, stuff like that. I found out fluoride was in the water. Sodium fluoride. Not calcium, but...
Excuse me, I've had a bit of a cold. If there's been any coughing on my videos lately, I have had a cold, well, cold thing that's been going round. But anyway, yeah, it's not good for you, is it? You only realise when you wake up, this stuff is not good for you. Yeah, so why are they putting it in our toothpaste?
Yeah. So what was the number one thing for you?
What, waking up? I think what it was is I was really into psychology. I've done a lot on psychology. And then I hit 9/11 and I was like, whoa, and that took about 3 years of my life, and I still didn't find the answers I wanted. Although I found, obviously, you know, you could originally go to YouTube and find more and more. Now you can't find anything because, well, they like to bind us and gag us, don't they, about everything. They just want us to see pretty horses and falling over and laughing. That's all they want. But then I actually saw, like on YouTube, it said, would you believe it, hoax, flat earth or something, and I went, what? They did that over 9/11, and I went there to look at that, and I thought, oh no, I'm not getting into all this again. No, that's it. And about a month later, with this friend, she wanted to debunk Nibiru, and I went to do flat earth, and the first video said, well, I saw 2 videos, and one of them was water seeks its level. I can't remember what the other one was, and I was just like, but I was sold. I thought, oh my God. That was it for me. 2 videos, I was done.
Yeah, it really is. Because I grew up, I left school with nothing at all, like all DVDs, even used. Because I went there to be an entertainer, a daft idiot, but to my advantage, I found out, well, hopefully. But did you look up to other people thinking they were the intelligent ones?
Well, when you come along, because obviously there was 2 big YouTubers there, which I don't really respect anymore, but you look at them all and you're like, oh wow, not quite gurus, but you look up to them, and over time I've left them all behind. I'm not interested. We move on. Because you find other things out.
Do you think this is a soul path of ourselves? You know, no matter what we do, it's down to us. You know, I know it sounds morbid to say, but we're born alone. We do die alone, as such. You know.
Yeah.
So everything we do in between. What does that mean to you?
Well, things are a bit different for me. I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm any bigger or better than anybody else. I'm not. But I'm an empath. So I'm sensitive to others anyway. And my life's been a bit different. And I don't know, I'm very sensitive. And I really care about us as people. And, you know, I like to make sure, try as much as possible, even though you're gagged through YouTube, to get information out.
Yeah, and so I bet, because I feel exactly the same, the best thing, the biggest thing for me, better than any drink or drugs could ever do for you, doing something for someone, helping them in some way that you know they genuinely benefit. You know, rather than giving them a car or a house or money or whatever.
Well, yeah, because unfortunately today's society is all ego and money, and yeah, I prefer, you know, to I go and help an old lady who's got cancer everywhere, but she's not having any treatment. She's lovely. I'd rather go and help her.
Have you? I know you had him on your channel recently. Devil's Playground.
Hmm.
They do a lot about the ego versus the soul.
Hmm.
Do you know, like everything ego is materialistic. Everything else is the soul, and it's like the devil versus good versus evil as such. I think they put it across really well.
Bit of information about your thoughts on Nigel. That's Devil's Playground. What were you just going to say?
About that.
No, that's all right. We're live. I'm recording it now. So what were you going to say? The next bit? You just said it. Yeah.
Like you said, with the cough, I couldn't even talk for two days last week because it was how bad. And it's like, you will only ever get corona, you know, the thing, CV, if you get a test for it. You know, you say you will only get the big C if you get tested for it. So don't get tested for it, and if you do feel ill, that's your telling you you're doing something wrong. Isn't it? You know? Yeah? Would you say, Kai?
Well, you could say that, but I was standing next to the person going like a couple of nights, and then I got it. So I don't know if I'm bad or whatever, but yeah, but that's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? I don't know if I believe in you can catch everything off anybody else, but
when you walk into a room and somebody is in a really bad mood, you could vice versa this. You feel that mood straight away. You feel the tension, anxiety. So you've taken on that vibration. Do you know, like catching a cold? Do you know, Tom,
do you think you're a bit of an empath then?
I have no idea what I am.
Well, empathy is when you've got, like, you can feel yourself, but you can feel other people. You have empathy for other people.
Yeah, I would do anything to help. The biggest thrill in life for me is helping other people. And this is I have taken drugs all my youth long. You know, I've tried everything. So, and it was all a waste of time because it's down and down and down. And it was only when my mum and dad got ill, it was like, you know, something went off, and it was, so what do I do to help them? And it's only when you turn yourself outward that you start to see how things work. That's how it worked for me anyway. I don't know, you know, we don't know each other really well, but yeah, that's my story anyway. But
well, that's a nice attribute to have. Well done. Keep it. Thank you.
Yeah, so doing your best for other people gives you a feeling that is untouched. So
yeah, and you can do it before yourself. You put it before your own feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, you would happily, like, they put everything on death, don't they? It's the, oh, don't die, don't be scared, do this, like fear. They use fear as such a, if you've got love in your heart, you don't feel fear, because there's nothing to fear, is there?
I think that also, as I always sort of, I think I was saying it in my hangout yesterday, the one that I'm waiting, that it's taking for hours to upload with Dave Mannell. You've got to know who you are as a person. If you don't know who you are, you cannot sort anything out for anybody or anything, because you never trust anything. When you know who you are as a person, everything changes.
Because, yeah, exactly, perfect. Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, won't you? If you don't stand for truth, honesty, if you, someone comes up to you and says, right, I'll give you £1 billion, £1 million to do this. If you'll take that offer, you've already gone.
Yes. When we were having this hangout yesterday, Dave Mannell's wife was talking about quite often, and even as it starts as babies, because they give you the heel prick, you're given stress and trauma. And you can grow up and have all the stress and trauma that's come to you, and it's not really you, and it's in you. And this is why people are broken. It's not just that, it's your childhood, it's your parents. But ultimately, you need to grow up. And growing up is getting to know who you are as a person.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
You meet a lot of people that say, well, I'm not responsible. And you think, well, if you're not responsible for you, who is? So, I don't know. I was a mother quite young. I had 4 children. I wasn't even 20. I was about 25 and I had 3 children. So my life was different, if you know what I mean. I've always had to look after other people. I was married then. I had to look after other people.
And you're a grandma as well?
Yeah, I'm a grandma now.
Yeah, I'm a granddad as well. But the youngest is 3. But I want even more, because the kid... So what do you think about this? This is another one. So, if we're born alone and we die alone, what is the point of family and existence?
I thought that. I thought, what, I was here just to have children and then grow old and die? Whoop.
Yeah.
It's not very exciting, is it? Oh, my children days are over now.
Yeah, we don't look at it like that, do we? But how would you explain that one?
I don't know. It's a bit of a weird reality when you suddenly think, oh, I was just here to have children then. Oh.
I would see it as we're here to learn, and like what my parents never did to me. I mean, my mum did. My parents' family is a massive story on its own, but that's for another day. But I see it as we're here to learn as much good, honesty, truth as we can and pass it on to our children so that they can do the same. And then maybe, family, community, society, the world would grow in a better place rather than growing individually.
If only the whole world thought like you, Fly.
But you see what I know that sounds all gay, and you know what I mean, though.
Oh no, I like what you say. A lot of people aren't sensitive enough like that. Even some of my own children aren't. The only thing that's important to them is themselves.
Yeah. And how much money they've got, how many numbers they've got in the bank account.
In my world, Fly, everything is always my fault. It's always my fault.
Yeah, that's amazing that you said that. I always blame myself for everything, even when it's someone else's obviously fault. I'll think, look, that was my fault. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Aww.
And they're saying, yeah. And you don't...
No matter what
people...
situation happens, no matter what anybody else says or does, it's always my fault.
Yeah.
I find that one a little bit
do
hard to live up to, because I'm thinking,
you really do that?
don't they think I've got feelings? You know, and it's like, oh, it's all my fault. Yeah, it's got to be my fault.
Otherwise they would say, yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah. Crazy world. But then it's because I think what a lot of it is that a lot of people don't want to admit that maybe they're broken, cracked, flawed. So they just push everything away and make it everybody else's fault. But it's them who's broken inside.
We all are. We all are in some way. I've got to read you one of these greatest things I heard the other day, only a couple of days ago. It's like, right, one second. It's something about, I daren't put you on speaker because you go off. I've got it up. It's something about we will never achieve one. I've got to read it.
Go on then. Say that again, Fly. Oh, yeah. Go on.
Right, sorry. Everyone fails at who they are supposed to be. The measure of a person is how well they succeed at being who they are.
Very nice words.
Absolutely. You have to really listen to that. Everyone fails at who they are supposed to be. Because we all fail. I know I failed. I know, like, I played for Great Britain, American football, under 21s twice. And I played sports all my life. And I've been in bands all my life. And all of a sudden, I'm just, like, sat in a trash. I feel like I'm sat in a trash in a corner, but...
Oh, don't think that. No, you're just surrounded by those people.
I should... Personally, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything. I'm just saying, for what I could do, everyone fails at who they're supposed to be. The measure of a person is how well they succeed at being who they are.
Very good words. There's 3 U's. There's who you want to be, who you think you are, and who everybody else sees you as.
Yeah, that's another good one, isn't it? Because who we think we are, everyone else looks at you and is like, that's not the point at all, is it? We're not that person, are we?
And everybody thinks they know you when they don't. I don't think. My mum says things like, "You don't know me at all, Mum, anymore." That's what I said to her last time I saw her. You just don't know me.
Yeah, that's the very first thing I wrote on my notes tonight. Family, friends and family, they're not trustworthy because they get a one glimpse of you. They'll file it. This is another good category to go into. People get a one clip of you. They'll file you as answer. So, in my opinion, it's extremely helpful for us not to answer questions. There is no answer. Like, what is the mood?
Do you know what? Do you know what my answer to that bit is? I understand exactly what you're saying. I was saying it to Christian earlier on. I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, how much worse can that be?
It's true, isn't it, Gary? It's like, it's beneficial to us to not know things. It really is, because it lets the imagination of a child. Like, that's why they call a child a master, because they are the master of their mind. But when you go through school, they are not a master, they're a mister. And it's just very strange, isn't it? It's just one little thing of it all.
Children are absolutely amazing, and they know much more than their parents will ever understand. When my kids were quite small, I started doing a parent line course. I really got into psychology, and it made me realise loads of things about myself and about my children. But my children haven't done that journey. And if they have, they don't want to tell you about it, which is even sadder. I was very honest with my children.
Yeah, that kind of hurts as well. Do
You know,
when
you
your
hope that you
children
break
don't
that
look
generational
to them?
cycle thing, but I told you I've got like bookends. There's parents and there's children, and I'm in the middle, and everything's my fault, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it really hurts as well when your children
I
don't
know
want to talk
they
to you.
do. They really hurt me, and they don't care that they do. They just don't care because the only thing in their life that is important is themselves. And in a sense, it's going to be like that. My children have moved out and got their own lives, but you hope that they would, you know, how they would see, they would understand you more because they've got children, but some of them don't. My middle son
There's no
understands
losing
that,
them.
you know, he understands why I did some of the things I did now because now he's a parent. But the other ones, the only thing that's important is them. It's the way it
Yeah,
goes, I suppose, isn't it?
but that's on us. That's like
But you
a
know what,
lesson.
Fly? What you do is you need to find more people that are like yourself.
Yeah,
Because I you know, like my level, it's like they give me a wall and I can't climb the wall. You know, I can't get over the wall. So what's the? You know, you can't choose your family. They're your family and your children and whatever. But for me now, I only want people around me who are nice people.
well, this is what life is about. In my opinion, this is what life is. We're not here to see how many houses, how much money we can buy, how much things we can have. We're here for ultimate extreme experiences. People couldn't, you know, the average everyday person couldn't handle the experiences and feelings that we have. You know that.
But if you're an empath, you're open to this. You know, like even the ether says things to me. I don't mean it sound quite like that. There's a voice there, but I know things through the ether. I just do. I'm just sensitive.
It's like you can feel it, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel people. I know when people are happy and not. Sometimes I say, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I need to digest it myself. But you know,
Like we
I
were
can
saying
sometimes in the
earlier,
past you can walk in a room and you think, "Oh, I don't feel very good," and then you walk out and you think, "Well, it wasn't me; it was someone else's feelings." You know, I'm
but
just
then somebody can walk into a room and light the room up. You know, did you say the smallest, tiniest candle can light up the darkest room?
not so many of those people around anymore. You know, but you
But
know, generations change. You know, and sometimes I think, "God, it makes me feel old," because you know, in my day, you know, today it's all about drinking, it's all about money, it's all about narcissism and not liking each other and not caring. That's the way it is. That's this generation.
that's what they're teaching. That's what they're
I was hoping,
teaching.
you know, like if for instance, me being an empath might mean that some of my children are, but my children aren't. But I think one of my grandchildren, the little girls, they're very sensitive. One doesn't live here, one lives in Australia. But they're very sensitive, and I think, you know, you could say that they're very empathic, but that might not stay with them when they grow up, because that's what happens, isn't it? It gets beaten out of them, doesn't it, when they go to school and things.
Yeah, it gets dragged out of you in a way, doesn't it?
I don't
You
know.
know,
I
like
think I've always been this way, you know, very empathic. But sometimes that means people railroad you all over you. And I told you about one of those. They just railroad all over you because you're a nice person.
so, like we started off on family. The first thing we talked about, family.
Yeah, and they're so
So
important to me, my family. I love them so much, but it's
yes, but
not.
are
It's
they?
just not
Are
easy. You know,
they?
they look at me as if I've got something wrong with me. Oh dearie
But
me.
this is it. We get attached. People who are empathic get attached so easily. We connect to people.
Yeah, and the thing is that they're the sick people.
Well,
And when you're awake and you're an empath, the last thing you go on is about egos. It just doesn't interest you at all.
but they don't hear it. So, like I said, we're born alone, we die alone, and I don't mean that in a morbid way. What I'm saying is, I believe this to be a soul journey. And it doesn't matter what we... I mean...
Can I ask you something, though? You know...
How many people have you affected, wrong word, sorry.
I get loads of messages about people that say things to me. I mean, some of them, when I was on the Unscrambled Channel, was, you know, with the Watts case. I don't know if you saw me on that one, but that was quite a big channel and was doing really well until YouTube decided whatever, and then, I don't know, they started doing it with that channel, just whatever. Anyway, they'd say, well, first of all, I thought you were crazy, but now I've watched your videos, I realise I understand what you're going on about. So sometimes they're the nicest messages. I mean, I don't know, Amy's around me. She's just one of the best people you could have as a friend, Amy. She's lovely. She's so kind and caring. She would protect me. Honestly, she would protect me. Someone put a funny comment on the channel the other day, and there was Amy going, I don't think you've understood what Karen meant. And there was Amy protecting.
Karen, we don't need protecting. We would stand at the front. We would be the people at the front.
What I'm trying to say is, you know, sometimes those people, you know, like I haven't actually met Amy, but we talk all the time. We got together in the Watts case. You know, I have such a good friendship with her, and it's such a shame I couldn't have something similar with my children. You know, my parents don't want me as a friend either.
But that is a feeling, that is an experience we're meant to have.
Yeah, but you would think that your family are there, and you can, you know, you realise you just can't talk about anything with any of them.
Honestly, my 23-year-old son just walked in now, and I've given him the kids on, and he's gone upstairs, but I asked him about, you know, why is he, I've got distilled water, I've vortex it, magnetic distilled, blah, 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 and he put his tap water in. And I just look at him and what am I meant to say?
He didn't realise, though. He's innocent.
But is that my fault, or is that my burden to understand?
Well, I was going to say to you, I said, you know, like this stuff you're talking about, could you, that's the reason that you have to have patience, is that, you know, maybe when I was 20, I didn't think and feel quite the way I did. It was in me, and I really was getting into psychology and the whole thing. But it's only when you're older, you know, like as you get older, you change a bit. And like we're older, having grandchildren, children, the whole thing, and your life's different. You know, like you said, your kids have left home, mine have. It's different when that happens. Then you go back to having more time to think and do what you want, and they're not there yet. They're still rushing around after their kids or their jobs or life or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it comes a bit with age.
Absolutely.
The older you get.
Perfectly answered that question, because they always do say, you know, get a kitten, put it in a box. We are a thing of our environment. So whatever we grow up doing, that's what we become. Is that something like that?
I don't know. I'm not with anybody at the moment, and you know, when I look back, I think, oh, I always had a boyfriend, and it's good to have time on your own. You don't realise that it is good, because that's another way of knowing who you are as a person. But I wasn't sure when I was younger that this is what life would have for me. No. But then, you know, when you wake up, you realise everything that you thought was real was a lie, so you're in a different place anyway. You know, if we went along with the global crap, with the televisions and whatever it is, but when you wake up, you realise, I was saying it again yesterday, you know, like, first we start off with political parties, you know, like Labour, Liberal, Conservative here, you have Democrats
left or right.
Democrats and, what's the other one, in America, Democrats and I can't think what it is now. Oh, that's really
annoying. The donkey or the mule.
Well, anyway, you get my drift, and then you got colours like you might like red and blue, and your football team, well, you know, mine was Chelsea, yours might be Liverpool, Man, whatever it is, none of that exists anymore. Because you realise that those are the levels that they get you on, and it's all about money, and it's part of that system. So, in a sense, you have to kind of let go of a lot, and a lot of the people you know are living and wanting that system.
Oh, yeah. The false binary. That is the perfect thing. The false binary. Like, you know, do you want to get V'd or not? Well, you know, do you have the big C or not? Well, the fact that, does the big C even exist? Do you see what I mean? It's all,
oh, I know, it's honest, Fly. It's insanity when you think about it. Absolute insanity. And reminds me of the Second World War, which they promised would never happen again.
And I don't even believe it happened. I searched for years and years of actual footage of it happening, and there is none. I guarantee you it never happened.
Well, I know that they're changing our history. The other day I was looking up something and it came up that said from this year to the year 2000, we were in a mini ice age. And I was like, what? When did they ever talk about us being in a mini ice age? So God only knows what they've changed in our history.
So, do you remember at school, what did you tell all girls? There were a big hole in the ozone, weren't they?
That there was a hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah, through...
oh, yeah. And that was, yeah.
So what
oh, yeah, I remember, because they had pictures up about it, didn't they? And said, it looks like this, and they're frightened it's going to look like that.
Yeah, climate change, global warming. It's the anxiety, fear thing.
Yeah, that's, but then, you know, like lately I've been just doing a lot about that. That's why I put that video the other day on about James when he's talking about the laws. Because basically, through language and education, they've done the same thing. Because anxiety makes money. And then when someone tries to give a bit of information, they might think they're giving them wisdom, but they're not. They're just giving other people their anxiety. So everybody needs to wake up, realise the words they're using. Again, know who you are as a person, and they're able to use words and you know, fear and everything all the time. It's just all money making. Money, 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 money.
Right. So remember, in my understanding of how this world works, it's energy. You've got negative and positive. The sun and the moon, I don't know what they are or anything like that, but what I do know is whoever is pushing the buttons owns the banks. So if you own a bank and you literally have all the money in the world, money is not the, you know, they're not doing it for money.
Thing is, I put a video out, and it's really crazy how these videos appear, and then what's in this video happens. It was made in the 1960s, and this guy goes for an interview, and then in the interview they say, well, when you were there, we actually bugged you, so we know you had an affair. And then they show him this room, and then they say, see this is going to be in the news in 3 years' time, a nuclear explosion. See that? They've got years to plan this. Anyway, at the end, he said, I don't want to be a part of this. And they said, see you at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, because they got him, because they know he had an affair. So they were using him, but they have years to... And that video came out, well, it didn't come out, it came out in 1960s, but it's around in last year, the year before, 2019. And then that very thing, you know, if anybody ever saw that, they must realise that they're making the news years in advance.
We wouldn't believe it though. It's like...
That's why the cartoons are cartoons. Because they've had years to make it. That's why those cartoons have the wrong colour eyes and also don't have any feelings. It never happened for the cartoon. And that's the other thing, is they want us walking around like a bunch of zombies without any feelings. But we are feeling things. We are, that's what we are, a bunch of feelings.
But they're disconnecting us from the mass population more and more.
Yeah. through these horrible things. I mean, in a sense, I was thinking about it because Ellie's boyfriend, he was watching Halloween downstairs. And, you know, you think, God, they just set out to do all these horror movies and frighten us to death. And then they've got the news with the same kind of thing on. And it all, like, numbs you. In the end, people are like, they might say, 20 million people have died in an explosion. And they go, can you go and get a Chinese? It doesn't mean anything anymore to them.
At all. You know, right, a good question for you. Do you know how you do, you're like amazing at doing the, you know, like people are, all the imagery footage is obviously fake and you know what I mean? But for me, it was the biggest thing for me was finding out that all mainstream bands are just put together and they're all fake. Like,
yeah, that really upset me as well. And I told people, sorry, Elvis Presley.
And they think you're mental for that.
Elvis Presley was made for you. His whole life, when he got married to Marie Lisa, whatever her name is, the whole thing was just a story for you. And it didn't matter. Like I saw this article and it said, here is Elvis and this is her. And I was thinking, that's not them. That could be anybody. So as long as they've got you dreaming in your mind, oh look, there's Elvis with his wife.
It was a little girl. It was a little girl.
Oh.
That, I've got to send you
the
that
Beatles
picture.
is the same. Once you realise, like, it was, I think it was Sparky Lee, and then there was this other guy, but he didn't really want me airing his video, and his videos were brilliant. He was showing you how who they were, other people were, playing other people. He had Hitler down as about 6 people played him.
It's a big one, but what just as a good question from me to you, what's your biggest, you know, the strangest thing that you found out? And the music one was that one for me.
Well, I was going to say, you know, like with Amy, we were on the Watts case, and this guy, Chris Watts, killed his wife. She was pregnant, killed the children, stuffed them in these oil tanks. And, you know, then people were moaning about her. And that's how I started the Unscrambled Channel. Because I was going, you leave Shanann alone. She's dead. She was pregnant, for God's sake, you know, and all that. And then when they started showing you information, you know, like that, she showed you police files. They just did. And they showed you all her Facebook. It just didn't all add up. And at the end of it, I just said it wasn't real. And I realised it for that case.
Isn't it? Like a Hollywood story.
I realised it for that case. Crime Watch Daily. They're all the same. All those things that show you those things. None of them are real. None of them. They're all stories.
But they hook you in to that fear.
And
like
then when
I
had an idea that the political side, that they probably would be doing it every now and again. But every video I pull up, every single one, it's the same. It's the same. And so that reality they've made for the Watts case, is the news, is the actors, is the whole thing. And the bit that gets me, the bit that does not freak me out, but it's the thought, like, Tom Cruise has about 5 other actors. Whether it's him or a version of him or whatever it is. These people, they look almost identical. And you're like, how can that be?
Cloning. Like, what do you think about this cloning? I mean, we could never say or...
Well, I have a bit of a thing about that because we've already cloned. We've had children. We've already done the cloning.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're not cloned. They're cartoons. They're virtual reality cartoons. That, you know, they did it with Chris Watts. He stood up and he turned round. And I thought, I've seen that before. It was a computer game on football. You know, when the team member stands up and turns round with his top on. It's the way they do their arms and everything. And I thought, oh my God, he's not real. He's a cartoon. It blew my mind a bit because, you know, I'd already had a big thing with the Ombudsman when I went to them, and they made my case wait 5 years, and then they said they couldn't help me due to the time, and they caused the time. And that made me realise the government body was being paid millions of pounds a year to do nothing. So coming in, I already know these things, but I wasn't expecting the whole of the media to be the way it is. The media run everything. It's the media.
It has to be like that. Imagine having,
It's not the BBC
Where
television
would you go
company,
to?
it's the military operation BBC, ITV, Sky, the whole lot.
Yeah, they
ABC,
definitely-
whatever it is in America, Fox News. Whoever runs them runs everything.
Yeah.
Can you pretend to be the president or the prime minister and go and make that little statement for me? But the thing is, I realised America is a corporation and the Queen made the UK into a corporation, and I really think when she was crowned, and I really think, and Christian was telling me it was true, that when she was crowned Queen, I think that Philip, he was crowned King, or he was given something that day, and he had a very big part in it. Much bigger than we realise. I do, his bloodline, whatever. And, so basically the countries are corporations. So this is why they're like they are, because we're just a business. We're a business. Your country, well, we call it countries, but wherever you live, it's a business in the Holy Empire. Those things kind of freak me out when I realise we're still in the Holy Roman Empire. No one's told me. I've just worked it out.
When you ask where do you live, I live in Chesterfield. No, I live on Chesterfield. Why do you say in?
Don't know. I'd say I'd live in Berkshire. I live in Thatcham.
Because we're in the corporation, we're in the business.
Oh, right, yeah.
We don't, why do you
The thing is, it's like when you wake up, you think, oh, we've got democracy and voting and all that, and it's a load of rubbish. Your vote means nothing. They're just playing with us the whole time. It's like, I imagine it's a bit like, in the Second World War when they used to show us the tables and we had, the soldiers are marching, let's push the soldiers forward. It's a bit like that with all the games they're playing. But they don't just get you in one avenue, they're getting it in everything. In, they're doing it through religion, they're doing it in education, they're doing it through the media, they're doing it through this, they're doing it through the politics, they're doing it through every avenue. You don't get a break from this totalitarianism that they're doing.
And to get it through other people, so even if you don't watch media, you'll still go down the road, talk to other people, as long as you're not wearing masks, and they'll say something just so stupid to you.
It's really sad, Fly. We don't live for very long as it is, and as you get older, time goes quicker. So maybe this last sort of 10, 20 years of my life or whatever will go really quickly because it just gets quicker. We're not here for very long. To do this to us is disgusting. And to not tell us the truth. Not tell us the truth about our history, where we live, what we're living on. This is liars.
I do believe in this system though, Karen. I do believe that there has to be good and bad, and we have to.
We're living in a circus.
It is an absolute joke, and I don't. How other people cannot see this. Absolutely.
But I think you're right. You can't just drop this one and not have a system. You need something else in its place. And it could be a bit similar to what we've got, just without them looking after it and without all the, subversion they're doing and the lying. We need to get rid of all that.
Well, it's like,
how do people ever become at peace with themselves when they've got all this stuff going on that isn't even their stuff? It's projected onto them.
It's probably, like, I'm a builder, so if I had, thinking big style, if I had £100 million, I could build a mass community, like they say,
I wish they'd say,
look at all the free derelict buildings.
Yes, Fly, listen, no one should be homeless with the amount of empty buildings there are. No one.
Yeah, it's mental.
And people don't get it. They're voting for a system that's only offering the same thing. Oh, we can't help you. We're always going to be poor. There's never enough money for a hospital. And then you go and find that they closed all the hospitals and left all the equipment in it.
I believe that's what.
And bits of bodies and their information behind. All the rules and regs this corporation makes for you, and they don't even abide by their own rules.
That's the last thing they do. But I believe it really does have to be.
It almost is. It's getting to the stage where I think if I could have a choice, but I do love my little grandchildren, you know, but if I had a choice, I'd say, right, I'm going off now. I'm going to that piece of land over there, and you're welcome to come if you think like me, but I'm going to live over there with everybody, those people. You stay over here and kill each other off and do everything, but we're going to go and live over there. But then you wouldn't see your family anymore, and everybody you know would be left behind.
But that's where we have to disconnect. Only connect with souls that connect. I don't connect. I literally wipe my dad's bum every other morning, shower him every day. But I don't connect with him because he thinks I'm an idiot. He thinks I'm mental. Even though he's taking medication and
even though you're the one washing him and wiping his bum, he thinks you're the idiot. Oh,
I'm mental.
Flight, you're a really nice person. Don't worry about him. I know it's a sad thing, but we often leave behind a lot of these people. When you wake up, they're behind you somewhere else, lost somewhere else.
That's what I'm saying. This is how I've learned to see above it, because it's like, look, you're my dad, and I'll do everything I can for you, but I don't connect with you. You were never there. You were...
I have the same thing. I love my parents so much, and I wish for such a different relationship with them, but I just cannot connect with them at all. I just don't like them.
Just remember, they were brainwashed to think they had to work all their lives. Just think about this.
My mum has said, I know it's a globe. I know it is. And I'm like, you know she doesn't. You're like, well, it's just to carry on believing your lies.
Yeah. But we can't get angry about it. It's just like, this is my dream, right? To go and find somewhere beautiful, nice and warm location near the sea, and physically build my own house. And our parents were taught that they have to work 70 years plus to buy a house that's only going to get taken away from them anyway. I mean, what? How stupid you have to be to fall into that trap.
The one good thing is, even if YouTube don't allow it and they're not reporting it on the news, there are millions protesting all around the world, and I'm so happy.
So, yeah, so it's definitely growing into it.
And do you know what else they've done now? This one's really weird. They've done it to everybody's YouTube, but you've got the likes and dislikes. And I noticed with the news that, say, 60,000 people could have watched it. They'll have, say, 25, 30 thumbs up and about 3,000 thumbs down. Now when you go there, you can see the thumbs up, but you cannot see the dislikes. Even you press it, it will go onto the video, but only on their admin panel. You will never see it now. You'll never see the dislikes. You think, why did they do that?
And I think the likes, by the way, I would say that the likes are always set at 10% for our kind of channels.
Well, they know we're not happy. They know we're not buying it.
But they're in the show, aren't they? So what can we do? We can just keep barking, can't we?
But we can't, like they're like this big force. In a sense, we need to turn our back and move on.
Yeah. Well, that's my intention anyway. Move away.
We need to make our own television. We need to do other things. Like now, we're having this hangout. We do our own.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of like Alpha Verdict, they're a good channel. What other channels have you been watching?
I've told you, I've been watching a bit of Dub, Gen 315, and quite a few of the abandoned channels. I put the name of the channel up on the bit of video that I've taken. Been watching a lot of them. But then, I have quite a few, like James comes to me. He's got a channel. We're arranging a hangout. James Brockhurst.
Yeah.
I talk to Christian. I'm talking to people all the time. And Sometimes they give you information which you can go and look up and research yourself, and sometimes I make videos out of the talk we've had.
Yeah, because you're so busy, because you know how to do this stuff. You know, like even if I recorded this, and even if I had a laptop, I wouldn't even know what to do with it. So
you live and you learn. We all start off like that.
Yeah.
The very first
We've
hangout
all
on
got our own skills, haven't we?
the very first hangout we had on YouTube, we didn't realise. So we got there and we thought we'd scheduled it for half an hour before, and we're all sitting there on our little boxes, because we used to have our cameras on and everything then, and we're sort of going la-di-da-di-da and saying all these stupid jokes, and we didn't realise the whole thing was live. And then suddenly we go, oh, we're live now. And then we carried on, and we didn't realise, but when we saw the video afterwards, it taped all this half an hour before. You live and you learn.
But people love genuine honesty, and that's what, like, I always still raise an eyebrow at every channel I watch, because I still think, what are they, a paid program, trying to force me to think something? And it's good to think like that, discern the good from the bad, if you know what I mean.
It's a strange way with a channel, because you're put into a bunch of laws that suit today, and if YouTube change things, don't suit tomorrow. So it's a bit of a strange place to be. But I suppose when I put my channel out, I don't say it often enough, but it's my opinions. But I find a lot of people who are like me minded, so... And that's probably why I don't say. It's my opinion a lot of the time.
But I think you'll find people who come across your channel, Karen, they'll just go into some brain now and run away.
What the hell is she on about? And yeah.
Yeah, or they'll listen and with an open mind, you know, like we all should.
I mean, a lot of people are into the Tartaria side. The Unscrambled Channel, I put a lot on there, and I get more views when I put Tartaria out than anything.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a strange one, isn't it? I mean,
we've got pyramids, star forts, and Tartarian buildings. Who was first? Were they all together? It's a bit strange to work out all the... And then even the Roman kind of built. There's lots of different eras in that Roman. It's just... The whole thing is bizarre.
It looks like... What would you say? Would you say 1,000 years was added, or 1,000 years was like... Or 10,000 years
originally I thought something like... We've only this dynasty kind of started maybe in the 1600s more than anything else. This whole thing with Elizabeth I, and just look at what she wears, and just this whole thing on the War of the Roses.
You say she, you know what I mean? What about the babies? Incubator babies. That is mental.
But again, when you can't prove that that's real, but. Like supposedly we had electric cars at the turn of the 19th century. We had a hangout the other day, and they were talking about the fact that he'd got this friend of his had got an electric van, and about every 150 miles he's got to charge it up. Well, when you're delivering, you on the motorway, they've got places you can stop, but you might have to wait 40 minutes to get on the thing, and then you've got another 150 miles, and then you've got to charge it up again. When they talked about their electricity, they did not show you anything.
Over 1,000 miles, you could do the very first, one of the very first electric cars from the 1800s. You could do over 100,000.
That's what I mean. So why are the cars today only doing? If they want us to turn into electric, why are the cars only doing 150 miles?
Well, we know the answer to that, obviously, don't we? For control and power, but. It's obvious that, you only have to look at a magnet.
And do you know what's really annoying, Fly? Tartaria only really ended in the 1920s. And then out of that came the Commonwealth and the First and Second World War. And that was to destroy it. And I know this might not fit very well with people, and they're going to say, preposterous! But, you know,
Yeah,
when they
I know,
went
I
out
believe that.
bombing, they weren't probably bombing other countries, they were bombing themselves. So there
Yeah,
was
my
no
dad.
big war. We were just doing things to our own countries to make this pretend war and to destroy the
Yeah,
infrastructure.
this fake narrative. A good question for you. Like, my dad's 76, mid-70s. How old's your dad, right?
My
I've
dad's
asked
in his
my dad,
80s.
what does he know about, what did his dad and his granddad tell him about the past? The answer is always nothing. They didn't tell him nothing.
Yeah, I'd have said nothing. My dad's, you know, it's really strange. We all seem to be immigrants. You know, like I'm not even English. My bloodline is, I'm half Welsh. And then at some point around the 1900s, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe the end of the 1800s, my dad's family were German Jewish and French, and they moved here to England. So I'm not even English.
But like, what does even English mean? So my dad's oldest brother is still alive. He's 86. Right? He did his family tree thing, whatever it were, paid for, and it only goes back to the mid 1800s. Do you know, like all the rest of it?
Well,
You
that's the other
don't
thing.
get
In the
any.
1800s, when there seems to be a lot of children, it was almost as if there was nobody really here in this pod or star or whatever you want to call it, and all the children came along, and then we kind of started all over again. But then a part of me thinks it's almost like there was a League of Gentlemen where this all happened, the star forts, all the inventions, electricity and stuff, and then came the poor Victorians. And it seemed like the children and everything, it was to repopulate. Like they sent them to Australia, they sent them to here. We all started moving to America. So everywhere was being populated.
Yeah. Well, they were moving people into these empty cities.
But with how much I've seen abandoned in America, there is not the amount of people they say. But obviously, say you were living in, say, San Francisco, or New York, we'll pick New York, because they funneled the people to New York. It is really busy there, and there isn't probably enough housing, and they can say, oh, we haven't got enough money, and all that goes on. But when you see how much is abandoned, it's disgusting.
It's the same. They say.
Do not think there's the amount of people that they
overpopulated.
say there is. There isn't. We're not as many people as
No,
they say.
well, I believe this place, like, this is a weird one. I believe, you know how they talk about sperm on ejaculation? They say it's 500 million, you know. Then you think about the Georgie Guidestones.
Yeah, but everybody goes on about them, but they've only been there for about the last 20, 30 years.
I know, but this is just a theory, really. So what I believe is there is a constant 500 million here, and either we keep coming back if we want to, or we go on to different places if we ascend. I mean, it's unprovable, obviously, but it's a thought. What about you? What happens, Karen, when you die?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking about that a bit lately. I was thinking, God, is it just that you close your eyes and then it's blank forever and you'll never know? I was hoping that maybe we do go off somewhere, and you know, I've thought now, because I've done mediumship and I've got into that in my 30s, but not ever as a medium ever said anybody comes back. But when you realise about dimensions, maybe they don't leave, they just go to another dimension, and so that's why you can feel them, and people think that they've turned up, because they do turn up, they're just in another dimension. So I don't know in that dimension what happens.
It's like NASA tells lies, but they still drop in truth, don't they? So it's like, I don't know, like they say other planets, so if there is other planets, does that just mean other dimensions of consciousness, of higher frequencies?
I don't know, because when you think about it, like when I told you when you came onto the phone call, I'm obviously making this video, it's going to take me a little bit of time, but it's Dub J again, you know, like when he's put these saturation things on the moon, and it looks like the moon is sheared off. Why am I talking about that? Oh, there's a reason why. I can't think. Well, what did you just say? There was a reason why I was talking about that. I can't think.
Ascension, death.
Oh, yeah. You know, not just that. When he's filming things flying around the sun, you know, you can see that they're a size of something, and there's the sun, and you think, well, that's just showing that the sun isn't very far away, and neither are the stars. They're not very high.
That's obvious, isn't it?
They really are not. The clouds aren't very high, the stars aren't very high, and neither is the sun and the moon. They just look like they're getting closer and closer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Don't you think that? I think everything looks like it's like the clouds look like everything's getting closer.
Yeah, whatever you focus on, whatever you see, you look at, it's like red skies at night. That type of thing, it's amazing, it's so beautiful, and it's like...
I don't think people realise if that thing was millions of miles away, we'd just not be doing that. And our view would be so different. But to put us in this... I mean, what's more frightening? We're stationary, or that we're floating around space not knowing...
Yeah, it's that this is where we come back to that. I love to not know the answer. I just love not knowing the answer to something, because that's what they try and teach you at school. Like, this is the answer. Now shut up and go away. Like,
But when you wake up, Fly, it's like that, because you hit a subject, you spend maybe 2 weeks really looking at it, and you think, but there's another piece of puzzle to go yet. Oh, look, it's led on to that. And everything is so detailed, and yet there's always more information. There's always somewhere else to go. It just carries on and on and on and on.
Compartmentalised, is it? Compartmentalised or something.
Yeah.
It's that, like the moon. If it was reflecting the sun's light, stand on that, the lumens would burn. It would just like you'd be disintegrated. And so it's obviously not what we've been taught, is it?
Also,
so
when the moon, I mean, I haven't seen, because I live in houses, but for some reason, quite often, you look out and you think, oh my God, look at the size of the moon. And it's really low in the sky, like maybe rooftop height. And you're like, look at the size of it. And of course, when it goes up into the sky, it gets smaller, and that's because it was just by the roofs.
Yeah.
But you can never get to it. Like, if I keep walking towards it, it just gets further away. So what the hell's that?
I know, and over this last week as well, where it's been in the sky all day, the sun and the moon has been like visible all day at less than a 45-degree angle. Like, that alone just says we're not on a spinning ball. So we don't know what it is, but, you know, it's interesting to think about.
I've even thought, just say we were the star, because obviously I've done a bit about the star map, and you imagine it's integrating with other stars, and maybe it turns around a bit like a clock. So we're very, very slowly turning around, which is why our weather changes, but we're turning around very slowly. It's not a globe, nothing like that. We're still stationary, but just slowly moving round. Because this would make up for why the weather has changed so much. I mean, at the moment, like last week I was thinking, everybody else is getting snow and we've got 10 degrees. Oh, maybe we're going to turn into a Mediterranean area soon.
Yeah, what do you think about that? That's a very good question, because I can't answer that.
And also, when you think about it, with Antarctica...
Do you know, you are anon. That was like, those 2 5.5-hour epic videos he made.
I don't know.
He goes through everything, and he, literally, he goes through the clock, and how it turns round, and why things freeze, and, I mean, that's obviously... But
also, the stars are doing things. And the moon moves the stars. I've seen it do it. When the moon is on the Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn, it comes in and it does like a heartbeat sign, but when it's doing that, it picks up some stars, drops them off, and then goes off. The stars, the moon's doing things. The moon is helping change the seasons and things.
That's it. They do say that it changes the seas, the tides, but so there must be some sort of truth to that, because they wouldn't just make. That's what's confusing, how they mix half truths up.
I don't know, because I actually think it was another truther person. He showed that if you put electricity into salty water, it makes waves and currents. And so I was thinking, we can get in that one, you see. That's why we haven't noticed it, because we can get in that water. But the current, the tides are all to do with electricity. It's all done with this earth electricity. That's what makes the tides.
Yeah. You're going on to a right subject. Yeah.
Well, listen, Fly. We've been going for an hour and 12 minutes on this hangout. We don't have to do everything today. We can always come back and talk, or we carry on talking. What do you want to do?
Yeah, no, we'll save it then.
We'll put a pause button on, and that means you've got to come back and have another hangout with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's good then. I mean, we've messaged each other a lot on the channel, but we've messaged each other a little bit in the last couple of days, but we've never really spoken to each other, have we?
No, I've been so quiet as well. I've not done nothing for about.
Yeah, I haven't seen you commenting lately on my channel, Fly.
I know. But I do watch all the time. Don't worry about that.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Fly.
Yeah, I really appreciate you anyway. So I will really appreciate and thank you for having me on. All right.
Oh no, thank you. I very much appreciate you coming on this hangout with me.
Thanks so much. All right.
Yeah, what it is we'll say goodbye for here, but we'll say goodbye afterwards. But for this hangout, thank you very much, Fly. Mwah. And thank you, chat room.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Love you all. Be good. See you soon. Mwah.